Did you know that the ancient Ayurvedic texts that were written thousands of years ago included advice for traveling? Yep. Even when most journeys were by foot, horse, or chariot, our ancestors understood that leaving home could throw off digestion, immunity, sleep, and even mood. Fast forward to today, airplanes, road trips, and even jet lag may look different, but the body reacts in the same ways. That's what I'm excited to share with you. My top 10 trips for traveling without tummy aches. It's a blend of history, science, and sacred wisdom that will help you stay energized, avoid tummy troubles like constipation or traveler's diarrhea, and keep your mind calm and clear. Whether you're headed across the world or just a few hours down the road, these tips will help you feel grounded, vibrant, and ready to enjoy every moment of your journey.
Gallbladder gone. Now what? Let's heal from the inside out.
Welcome to Gallbladder Gone? Now what? The podcast for Christian women navigating life after gallbladder removal. Hosted by Jami McQuivey, holistic nutritionist, wife, boy mum, grandma, and a firm believer in God's design for lasting health. Did you know that over 1.2 million Americans have their gallbladders removed every year, and that the majority of them are women? Even more eye-opening is that all gallbladder issues are digestive issues, and poor digestion is at the root of up to 80% of all disease, including hormone imbalances and weight struggles. While Jamie isn't a doctor and this podcast isn't medical advice, she shares real solutions rooted in research, experience, and God's Word. Let's get practical, biblical, and real, one step at a time.
Hello, hello, and welcome back to Gallbladder Gone. Now what? So, I recently went on a trip to go visit my son, my daughter-in-law, my grandbaby, and my soon-to-be grandbaby up in Washington State. And as I was packing, I've done this for years, so I was thinking about all the things I need to travel and feel good. So, there's some people like my husband who can just, travel and go and not really be bothered so much by the process. But even he, will have some struggles every once in a while. So those of us who have had our gallbladders out know that if we get out of rhythm, if we get stressed or things aren't normal, that we get thrown out of balance. And so I wanted to talk to you today about my 10 tips that I use all the time when traveling and how that keeps me grounded and happy and things working the way they're supposed to be working. So there is a scripture, Proverbs 24:27, that says, "Prepare your work outside, get everything ready for yourself in the field, and after that, build your house." And I love this scripture because it is a fantastic reminder that good preparation leads to peace and stability. So, as you're traveling, a lot of people, they're filling up their suitcases or purses or whatever, looking at their itinerary, but what they're not really preparing for is how their body's going to react to having the time change or being in a car for a long time or being in an airplane or having different foods. So it is an excellent idea to prepare, and then the body kind of is able to adapt a little bit better. So first of all, um, traveling aggravates what we call the Vata dosha. So the Vata dosha is kind of that windy, it can be drying, it really what it does is it upsets the nervous system. So travel equals movement, and in Ayurveda that means the Vata dosha. So the air and space energy goes sky high. So car rides, flights, rushes to catch a train or a shuttle can all stir up that Vata energy. So the Charaka Samhita, one of the oldest Ayurvedic texts, warns that excessive movement leads to dryness anxiety, and irregular digestion, which we call that Vata digestion or Tikshna. Sorry, no, it's not Tikshna Agni, but it's making sure that we get our it's Vishma Agni, that we keep things as balanced as we possibly can. So modern science agrees with this. So travel increases cortisol. So that stress of travel makes that stress hormone just go skyrocket. Now, some people travel a lot and some people travel only every once in a while, but the body still is not a big fan of traveling, even though we may love it. Like I traveled, you know, many of you know my story. Our family left from China or from Iowa in 2014, and we lived and traveled in China, and we went to Tibet and we did all of that, traveled all around China. We came back, we got into an RV, we traveled all over the country and Canada in our RV. Then we traveled and lived in Hawaii for 9 months while we got our massage therapy license, and we decided to travel Europe and Northern Africa. And so I know about travel. This is absolutely something that has been a huge part of the last 10, 15 years of my life. And before that, we were big travelers anyway, going on cruises or trips here and there. So it's something that I've always valued and loved, but for a long time, it didn't value or love me until I found these 10 tricks that I'm going to talk to you about. So the first one is to balance Vata. And that means when you're traveling, make sure that you create time and space. I was talking to a couple recently who had done an RV trip, and they talked about how fast it was and how they went from one thing to another. And if they had to do it again, they would have done less and enjoyed it more. So start thinking about that. Like, when I first went to Europe, I was 19 years old, and I thought, this is my one chance to get to Europe. I've been to Europe several times now. So letting go of this idea that we have to get everything done in that one trip, right? And so as we were full-time RVers on the road for several years, that's one of the things we'd talk to with other fellow RVers is that slow down, enjoy the things, take more time doing less. All right, so that's my first tip is plan accordingly like that. Okay, number two is oil is your best friend. Vata loves oil. So when we get out of balance, Vata loves oil. So in history, travelers always carried oil, whether it was ghee for cooking or sesame oil for the skin. So Ayurveda teaches that oiling calms the body and Vata instantly. So modern research even shows that sesame oil massage lowers blood pressure and reduces anxiety. So before you travel, or even during long flights, rub a little oil on your feet or temples. So I always have in my purse this little roller bottle that has sesame oil in it and a grounding essential oil. Not too strong. I don't want to, push my fellow passengers away from me, but I will always put it on my neck and on my temples and my wrists, and it instantly calms that Vata. And trust me, this is something that is so wonderful, and it's allowed on planes. I always carry it in my purse. It's everywhere. So it's just, it's probably less than an ounce, but man, does it help. All right, tip number three is stay hydrated. So sacred texts describe water as the elixir of life. So Ayurveda teaches that sipping warm water keeps the digestion strong while traveling. So not cold. So when I first learned this, I was like, oh my goodness, where am I going to get this hot water? So when you're driving, you can get it at gas stations. It's usually near the coffee machine. And then when I go to the airport, I go to Starbucks or to one of the restaurants and ask them if they would just fill my traveling cup with hot water. So once I get past the line where they're checking everything and I can't have any fluids and blah blah, I always carry my own drink container. And then sometimes I'll even bring tea bags and I'll have them fill it, and I'll put like 2 or 3 tea bags because my cup holds 4 cups of water. So maybe, four. You can do peppermint tea, you can do ginger tea, chamomile tea. You don't even have to do tea. You can just sip warm water. and it keeps you hydrated so your energy is up, you don't get the brain fog, you don't get constipated. It just balances out that digestion. And so science talks about warm water supporting that gastric motility. So cold water is going to constrict that digestion. And we're already kind of constricted. There's already that kind of stress. Even if we love traveling, there's always a stress. Are we going to make it there on time? What are we doing next? We're just not in our space. And so this is something that if you carry a thermos or a water container, like I won a Stanley at a convention, so I just carry the Stanley around with hot water and or herbal tea, and my gut is loves it. All right, number four, keep your digestion is king. So we talk about Agni, and Agni is that fire, that digestion in our belly. So when we travel, it automatically weakens it. So also strange foods, irregular meal times, stress, even Hippocrates said all disease begins in the gut. So, doesn't that sound familiar? People are touting that all the time. So, a simple trick that I like to do is pack spices like ginger, cumin, or fennel. But my favorite thing is I make myself fennel candy, fennel seed candy, or carry some ginger candy with me. So, it's just a little bit candied so it keeps. And I just munch on those. And that keeps my digestion on track. And it's something that has been done for thousands of years. You don't even have to make it a candy, just even a little baggie full of fennel seeds or cardamom seeds are really nice as well. And I just kind of chew them. What I heard years and years ago that people would call it church seeds to get these flavorful. Some people like the cumin seeds. I don't like chewing cumin seeds. I do like cumin, but not as just chewing the seeds. But there's a lot of seeds out there that are delicious and help with digestion. All right, the fifth thing is to eat light and grounding foods. So the travelers have always tried to eat simply. So these days, people are eating burgers and fries and big burritos, but actually it's better if you just have something simple like a nourishing soup or some fruit. So we try to avoid heavy and processed foods that slow down that digestive fire, especially while we're on the road. That doesn't mean once we get somewhere we can't enjoy the food, but while you're traveling there, try to avoid that. And so we stick to good nourishing foods or simple grain dishes. So when in doubt, we always think light, think warm, and think simple. All right, my sixth tip is to protect your immunity. So before there was hand sanitizer, Ayurveda had something called rasayanas, which is it's an herbal tonic that builds resilience. So things like ashwagandha, and I kind of like them in tincture form. Um, Triphala is in a powder form that I like, or tulsi tea in a tea form. And so and those again will fit on a carry-on, in anything. I put them in a little plastic bag, keeps that immune system nice and strong. So science is now showing that Tulsi is antimicrobial and stress reducing. So instead of popping vitamin C, bring along a small kit of herbs or herbal teas that you can be sipping on that will calm the nervous system, that will increase immunity, and help you feel really good. All right, the seventh tip I have is to move like a yogi. So we have these long rides or cramped seats. These are not new. So ancient yogis traveled too, and they taught simple asanas, which just means movement or postures, kept things circulating and moving. So the Bhagavad Gita reminds us that balance and activity and rest is foundation to health. So we need to be moving. So whether you're in an airport and you're stretching or doing toe wiggles on a plane or twisting in your chair, doing those things, breathing deep, keeping that the lungs open, the posture really good is going to help. When I was traveling with my boys in an RV, um, every time we would stop, we'd try to stop more often. We'd get out, we'd do like 15 lunges and then like 25 jumping jacks. And then I would have them run here and run there. And it was just about a 5 or 10 minute thing. And once we got in the car, we felt so much better. All right, my ninth tip is mindful breathing. So it is said that the breath is the bridge between the body and the soul. So traveling brings that stress and delays and irritation. And sometimes you don't realize that like you're holding your breath or your breath is really shallow. So a few rounds of alternate nostril breathing or just that big, deep belly breathing can reset the nervous system. And I know this, my last trip, I was actually on my computer waiting at a terminal doing getting ready. I start to teach classes in the fall. And so I was with a colleague and we were going over some information. It got too chaotic and I just told her, I said, you know what, we're going to have to do this tomorrow when I land or after I land and I get some rest. But then I went to see if my seat was being assigned, and they said, "Oh, we moved the gate." And so all of a sudden, I take that big deep breath in and I want to hold it like, "Oh no." And it's like, "Nope, breathe. Okay, let's get there." And so I got there on time and I had space, but then I sat there and I'm like, "Okay, get that breathing. Start breathing nice and deep. I'm exactly where I need to be." And it calmed my body. All right, the 10th tip that I have for you is travel with gratitude. It is so easy to get angry and frustrated. And with this last trip, I the plane was completely full. And so they kept saying we need volunteers to put our the luggage and to take it off the plane and then that we could get it later at a carousel. And I didn't want to do that because I had a shuttle afterwards and I wanted to have that plenty of time to get from one to the other. But because I was in the back of the plane, they ended up saying, you have to, you have to. So I was like, okay. So I checked it. And as I got on the plane, I was so irritated because as I walked by the overhead bins, most of them were empty and hadn't been full. I didn't have to put my suitcase in. They lied to me essentially, and I was so angry. And then I sat down. I was like, you know what? This is not worth it. So I started taking my big deep breaths, relaxing my body, and said, you know what? It'll all work out. And it did. I got off the plane. The carousel was right close to where I was. My suitcase was the first one off, and I was able to go get right on the shuttle and head home. So it's important to just, even if that didn't happen, even if something happens, remember we learned to change our what if I miss my shuttle? What if I miss into even if I miss, I'll come up with a solution and it'll be fine. So journeys are described not only as physical, but as spiritual. So opportunities learn and expand. We don't always want to talk to people, or maybe we always want to talk to people, but Ayurveda reminds us that health isn't just about the absence of disease, it's harmony with the body, mind, and spirit. And so, as my last travel tip for gratitude, pause for a minute when you're there. Pray, give thanks. Gratitude lowers stress, it boosts the immune system, and reminds us that every trip is a sacred journey. And every trip is a blessing and a gift, even if you're going somewhere. Let's say, a family member has passed away and you're going to a funeral. How amazing is it that you get to travel and go be a part of that? So even when we're not, or for work, people get upset, oh, I have to travel for work. You have a job. How amazing is that? So there's always something to be grateful for. So there you have it. Those are my 10 tips. The first one is to balance that Vata. So plan accordingly, to use oils to stay hydrated, to bring little seeds or things to help with your digestion, to eat light and grounding foods, to protect your immunity with herbs, and to move whenever possible. Oh, I missed one. So number 8 is sleep. I don't know how I forgot that. In Ayurveda, sleep is considered one of the 3 pillars of health: Nidra, Ahara, but Brahmacharya. So those are just those are the pillars. So travel messes with our circadian rhythm, especially across time zones. So we need to make sure that we get back on that time zone. So as I just traveled an hour out of my time zone this last time. But one of the things I always do is get right on their clock, and get my circadian rhythm. So I'm hydrated, I'm taking those herbs, and then I get right on their schedule, and then I'm fine. And so you can rub oil on your feet before bed. Um, it'll super helpful. All right, and then number 9 is mindful breathing, and 10 is that travel with gratitude. So these 10 travel tips will help keep your digestion steady and your energy high and your mind calm no matter where you're going or what you're doing. So, from ancient wisdom to modern science, these are simple practices that you can incorporate anytime. Some extra bonus tips is travel in comfortable clothing, breathable clothing. Make sure that you can layer so you don't get cold, you don't get too hot. And as you prepare for your next trip, remember what our ancestors knew. They knew about planning. A few mindful rituals and a heart full of gratitude can turn any journey into a sacred adventure. So keep these tips close, honor your body, and let your mind and your body ease you toward vitality on the road. So before you go, I have a few more things for you. So don't stop here. In the show notes, there is a link where you can get all the PDFs to this. So if you didn't get all 10, that's fine. Just go and you can get I put together these PDFs, and so you have all the talking tips and that you need. Okay, and then also there's a link in the show notes to get my DIY program that will totally help give you hope and healing. So I've used this DIY program with clients over and over, and these are the comments I get. Working with Jami has been one of the best decisions I've ever made, and that was from Ashley. Tasha said, I strongly recommend these programs and this class and Jami as an instructor and coach. Or Madison, who said, I have absolutely loved this course. These are women just like you, intelligent and gifted women who are trying all the things, who are now able to focus on what they really love doing after taking this course. So Ashley is loving being a mom. She just had her second baby, whereas before she was really struggling to get pregnant and to enjoy the journey. She was not feeling well at all. Tasha is a nurse, and so she's teaching her fellow nurses what she's learned and incorporating it into her family. And we have Madison, who is going back to school, focusing on the things and her calling in life that is most important to her. So no matter where you are or what you're doing, you deserve to feel great. So until next time, safe travels, and may every step of your journey be blessed with health, balance, and joy. Happy digesting.
If this episode encouraged you or offered practical insight, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next. Leaving a review, subscribing, and sharing with even one friend helps more people discover this message, and Jami is truly grateful for your support. Be sure to check the show notes for free downloads, helpful resources, and a link to join Jami's private Facebook group for extra support and community that blends practical health with biblical truth. Just a reminder, Jami isn't a doctor, so always consult your healthcare provider before making changes to your health plan.